I pledge allegiance
To the
flag of the United States of America
and to the republic which stands one nation
under God,
indivisible,
with
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. I will then go ahead and mute you all again. Okay, we do have a public hearing, and I believe the public hearing starts at 8:05. If I am correct, India?
Yes.
India, 8:05?
Yes.
So we're just gonna have to
Yes.
sit tight for a minute, counselors.
Mayor's 8:05.
So you want to go ahead and read that, India?
Okay. The Bloomfield Town Council will conduct a public hearing on Monday, May 11th, 2020 at 8:05 p.m. during a conference remote via Zoom at the following link. For the purpose of soliciting public input regarding an amendment of the Town Code of Ordinances, Section 18-6, to increase the tax abatement for volunteer firefighters and ambulance personnel. This was posted on our town website Wednesday, May 6th as a revision.
You said there was someone that you were gonna,
So I had an email from Mr. Lou Blumenfeld, who is the chair of the EMS committee. He did speak at our 6 o'clock public safety subcommittee meeting tonight, but I don't see him in the attendee listing. But I do see Patrick Braun, so I wasn't sure if he wanted to speak or not on the topic.
so how will,
I would just have to promote him to be able to speak, but we have a hand raised from someone already.
so I think it's one of our count, so he did put his hand up.
Yes,
So I'm
okay.
gonna go ahead and allow him to talk. Pat?
Yep.
I'm trying to unmute
He's on
him.
mute. He's on mute, yep.
Pat, you got to unmute yourself.
He's unmuted
How's
now.
that?
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Pat.
sir.
Okay, good. Thank you. It's the first time I've done that. I'll just make a comment as regarding the tax abatement. Having been involved with the system, the ambulance since late 79 up until active until 2017, and being on your EMS committee for many, many years and the BVA fund. I will tell you that this tax abatement is something that was discussed when it was started, and that was started back in 2001. So since 2001 to today, the tax abatement has been in place, but it has been the same amount of money for 19 years. All I can say is that during this time, we all know the difficulties of, we had difficulties getting volunteers, and now we had COVID, which is adds another whole dimension to volunteering. And the fact that we still have volunteers is something that we all have to take a lot of pride in and give a lot of support to. It seems that we have been able to, and it's not our fault because the state has to tell us that or tell you that it's okay to give this abatement. And they just did that recently. So I would just ask that we support that you support this this abatement change to support our first responders, the ambulance and the fire departments. We need them more than ever right now. And we certainly can show our appreciation and our support that will help them continue the good work that they're willing to put themselves out there to perform for us. And I just thank you for your putting that up there, and I hope that you find a way to put that through for them. Thank you.
Mayor?
Is there anyone else?
Mr. Blumenfeld's on the line now. Well, he was. Yeah, there he is.
Who?
Mr. Blumenfeld? Willis Blumenfeld?
Mr. Blumenfeld?
Yes, hi. Can you hear me yet?
Yes, sir.
I can start? Yes, no?
Go ahead,
Yes.
sir.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to address the council briefly. I'm Lou Blumenfeld. I live at 10 Stewart Drive. And for the past 42 or so years, I've been on the council EMS committee. I am here speaking for myself because current difficulties have prevented us from having a meeting of the EMS committee to have a formal official position. But I would like to simply state that having had the opportunity to observe the BVA members and what they've put in to simply become EMTs, and then the enormous amount of time that they spend serving shifts on multiple hour bases, week in and week out, and not to mention the efforts of those people who in fact have been around for some 25 or more years, believe that the amendment to the abatement ordinance is something that is well deserved and is something that definitely should be passed. I would note that while the EMS committee has not had an opportunity to actually vote on this, it has the changes have been discussed on several occasions. And I am very confident in saying that had there been able to be a vote, it would have passed unanimously. I have obviously, or not, maybe not obviously, but nothing to say about the fire departments, except that knowing what they provide as a service to the town, certainly I would be in favor and hope that the council will approve the amendment for them as well. I know it's in there for both, so I look forward to hearing it passed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blumenfeld. India, is there any more speakers that you know of?
Not that I'm aware of. Oh, there's one person that has their hand up to speak as well. Vadonzi Graham Days.
Hello,
Hello,
thank
Ms.
you.
Graham Days. Is this about the abatement for the firefighters?
Yes,
It is. Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
it is about that. Thank you so much. I do think that they should be rewarded. I mean, for the volunteerism and what they do for all this time without having an increase in that abatement is something to be said. But with that said, I think that, you know, their EMS committee should take a proper and formal vote on their end, and then we should reconsider it further down the road. I hate to suggest delaying it any further, but I would suggest delaying it months and not another 19 years. But just so the town can see where the state is coming with regards to financial supports to municipalities as a result of coronavirus. So, I mean, I think that it should be discussed, but I think other steps need to be taken prior to you passing the ordinance as an amendment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I see a Gail Riley.
Yes.
Miss Riley, go ahead.
Hi, Gail Riley. I live at 8 Maple Avenue. I have a husband and a son and a brother-in-law that are all on the volunteer fire department. And I would love to see you increase the abatement for them. You know, they risk their lives every time they go out on a call. They were out on, I don't know how many calls this past weekend with the wind and the storms. And with COVID now, they really are putting their lives out there on the line. And I think it's the least the town could do for these men and women that volunteer and go out at all hours of the night and do it for free, along with the ambulance. I just would hope everybody would consider voting it through, the increase through. You have a great fire department on both sides of town. And if you had to pay to have a fire department, it would be a lot more money than what this small increase would be to give these men and women now. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Ms. Riley. I see that Mr. Blumenfeld has his hand up again. Mr. Blumenfeld?
Yes, I would just like to speak very briefly about the concern that the EMS committee has not had an opportunity to actually vote on this. It's been discussed a number of times, and I know I can speak for every member of the committee that we would be terribly disappointed if this got deferred further so that we could meet to vote on something that we are all in favor of. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blumenfeld. Is there any more persons from the public? Any more persons from the public? Mr. Lichtenberger? Sir, you have to unmute yourself. sir. Mr. Lichtenberger? Paul? Hello?
He is unmuted. I don't know why that's
I don't know either. Paul? Mr. Lichtenberger? Okay, I'm not hearing him. He is unmuted, his hands is up, but I'm not hearing anything.
You're not doing anything wrong. That's unfortunate. I think he's
Huh?
having his own technical difficulties. I don't think it's anything you're doing.
Okay, so I'm gonna put him back on mute. And I'm gonna lower his hand. Jay Daly? Jay?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you for the opportunity to address you this evening. My name is Jay Daly. I live on Nolan Drive in Bloomfield. I've been a member of the Bloomfield Volunteer Ambulance since 1982, when I was still in high school in Bloomfield. I actually got involved because my parents were some of the first members of the ambulance as well, and still volunteer to this day. I just want to go on record and say, oh, by the way, I am a member of the EMS committee as well, along with Mr. Bloomfield. I want to go on record and say that speaking for myself and probably most everybody that I know, we don't actually volunteer for the abatement. It is nice that the town appreciates us and gives us that little that abatement. So it's greatly appreciated. The one part of this that I wanted to address is as we have members that are getting older, the state was nice enough to allow the abatement rules to change to actually allow members to retire. And I think that's a nice way of rewarding and honoring people for 25 plus years of service, to be able to have them not have to worry in their retirement years about the increase in their tax bill because of the fact that they are no longer able to or to continue volunteering. Thank you for letting me address you.
Thank you, Mr. Daly. I don't see any other hands. I don't see any other hands going once. I don't see any other hands going twice. I don't see any other hands going 3 times. So at this time, I would like to close the public hearing. India,
Yes.
we good with that?
Yes, ma'am. 8:20.
8:20, okay. At this time, I don't know if any counselor has anything to say. Counselor Curtin does have his hand up. Let me get back over to there. Please hold a minute, sir, hold on. Go ahead, Counselor Curtin.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thanks for all the attendees tonight and all the speakers that just spoke through in the public session. I want to move ahead with a motion, please. Move to approve the proposed changes to the town ordinance, Chapter 19, Section 6, Parts B3, C4, and D, as authorized by Connecticut General Assembly, Bill 5125.
Counselor Curtin.
Yes, Madam Mayor.
I'm gonna interrupt you for a quick second.
Sure.
I will allow you to make that motion when we get to that item on the agenda.
Isn't this the only item, Madam Mayor? I'm sorry.
Right, but we have a whole
Okay.
agenda to go through, sir.
No
I know
worries,
it's
no
late,
worries.
but
Appreciate it.
I
No
promise you
worries,
I will
no
get
worries.
back to you to make the motion.
Awesome. My apologies.
That's okay.
Yep.
I promise we won't be here long.
Okay, thank you. Long day.
Counselor Merritt,
No, I will wait until it becomes a part of the
so
agenda.
you want to second the motion?
I will second it, yes.
Okie dokie. So we got that in there in the hopper coming. All right, thank you. Thank you both. At this time, do we have any citizen statements or petitions? India? Ma'am? India?
Yeah, I'm here.
India? Any citizen statements or petitions?
I'm not muted. I'm not muted. Hello, you can hear me?
No, you're not muted. I'm hearing
I
you,
was-
yeah.
I was talking to you like, I didn't have anything in the Q&A section to report for that.
It's funny because you're saying I'm not muted. I'm like, yeah, no, you're not muted. Okay, at this time, we're going to have reports from our council subcommittees. Community Service, Counselor Wong. Oh, hold on a minute. I'm coming. Go ahead, ma'am.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I do have a report, even though we haven't met. I believe we are scheduled to meet next month, should time permit. Report going for leisure services, senior and social and youth services. So the summer brochure has rolled out into 3 phases. So this was done electronically. So the 3rd phase was distributed electronically May 5th. So you do not have anything via mail. It is all electronic. So check your emails if you were looking out for that. There are discussions being had as far as the municipal pool for the summer season of 2020. So we'll wait for leadership and staff to make a determination on that as we move forward. There were 2 food share distributions during the month of April. 174 individuals came to Human Services Building to receive their commodities, and many bus drivers were did deliveries to an additional 61 recipients who did not have transportation. So that was amazing. Thank you, staff. There does the continued efforts as far as the friendly voice and wellness check call programs that was started back in March that the staff did to reach out to all senior residents for whom we have contact information for. That remains to be very positive and essential, as some of these calls are some of the very lean means of contact that seniors get weekly. So they do look forward to that call. The May newsletter has been sent out electronically. So again, check your email for that and for more information. And the normal May 25th Memorial Day parade and ceremonies have been canceled and replaced with a car parade of veterans and first responders. So the parade kicks off at 10 a.m. and the route can be found online via your electronic communications and the town website. So that's great news that that's something that staff is putting together for the town. Thank you. Some updates here and announcements from the Beautification Committee. On Wednesday, May 20th at 1:30 to 3 o'clock, you can join the Beautification Committee, co-sponsored by the Library of Dunland Woods Garden Club, on how to attract pollinators to your garden. So check in if you want to learn more about that. Again, May 20th, 2020, 1:30 to 3 p.m. on Wednesday. And last announcement from the Beautification Committee here. They will be planting flowers for Memorial Day in Bloomfield. That will be held on Friday, May 22nd at 9:30 a.m. And we can meet at the town hall. Volunteers are welcomed. Bring a small shovel. And for more information, you can contact bbc06002@gmail.com. So that sounds like something really fun. And lastly here, we do have some reports. Let's see, Stuff the Truck Bloomfield happened on May 7th, 8th, and 9th. This was an initiative to gather hard to find essential items for the senior and social services departments in town. So that included residents donating toilet paper, paper towel, cleaning supplies, and sanitizer, diapers, and wipes. You can still donate if you would like. You can just drop it off at 330 Park. You can call staff, they'll come downstairs and they will meet you. And another opportunity to support the town if you weren't able to participate in Stuff the Truck is Lynn Weasel, one of our at-large residents, has initiated a Purchase a Stronger Bloomfield Together t-shirt fundraiser. So you can go to bonfire.com and look up Bloomfield. And what that is you can purchase a t-shirt and 100% of the profits will benefit Bloomfield Community Kitchen and Bloomfield Social Services, a 50-50 split. So that's very encouraging that other residents are doing little initiatives here and there to support the town and do our part. I believe that is all that I had for my community services report. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councilor Wong. We're going to go to admin and education and finance. Admin, education, and finance, Councilor Curtin.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Both admin, education, and finance meetings were canceled for the month. In lieu of the budget meetings and so on, there was nothing pressing on the agenda. We may have a admin education special meeting, and I'll notify everyone if that happens sometime this week. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Public safety, Councilor Goff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is Councilor Goff. Public safety actually met earlier this evening at 6 p.m. I'll go quickly through the report from the chief of police and the fire chiefs. Unsurprisingly, crime is down about 8%. Calls are down about 20%, and most of this has been attributed to the COVID crisis because there's just less activity. The crime down 8% is also because of reduced larcenies. And part of that is, if you recall the last public safety report, a lot of the larcenies were happening at the big box stores in Capalco Plaza, and several of those stores hired their own internal security and officers and so forth, Stop and Shop being the latest. So I think with the combination of traffic being down because of COVID-19 and the hiring of more staff by the establishments, that's down. They're continuing to enforce parking at Phoenix Crossing. They've also been giving more attention to the Greenway, in part just because of trying to get out and get the message. The Greenway is being massively used, which is a good thing, but trying to make sure to remind people to social distance, walk single file, wear face masks when you are close to others, that kind of thing. The question came up if there were sufficient supplies of PPE, especially to the Bloomfield Volunteer Ambulance, and the answer was certainly a sufficient supply now. However, they're obviously being very watchful about that. In terms to sort of go along with what Councilor Wong just talked about with the needed supplies, what is most needed by both the ambulance, the police, is cleaning wipes. So if you do have any source of cleaning wipes, please, you can donate those to those institutions. They did give an update on the homicide suspect from the shooting at Elizabeth's back in February. That suspect is still at large. If some people recall, the chief and some of his staffs were growing beards back, I think, in November, I guess. It was No Shave November. And the police department received a plaque that was No Shave November to benefit cancer patients. And the Bloomfield Police Department received a plaque for raising over $1,000 for that cause. And I guess there was around 90,000 raised in the state. So congratulations to our police force for doing that. Fire departments, about the same for both Blue Hills and Central fire departments, in the neighborhood of 140, 150 calls per year, running about 35 per month. Fortunately, most of the calls that both fire departments get are smoke detector malfunctions, the usual kind of thing. The main thing right now, of course, is being very cautious in how many people they send out on a call to make sure they minimize the chance of contamination with the coronavirus. There's really in the fire departments, the Central Fire Department has had no one in quarantine, and the Blue Hills Fire Department has had one person in quarantine. The other item, which we will be taking up shortly, was the tax abatement issue. The abatement was reviewed by the Public Safety Committee after being reviewed by the Finance Committee, and the Public Safety Committee recommended it on to Council with a 4-0 unanimous recommendation. So I think that completes my report, and I'll have a couple more things to say when we discuss the actual abatement itself. Thank you.
I'm not sure if the mayor has indicated it's my turn or not.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because you were muted.
I'm sorry.
Yes, Stephanie Calhoun, Committee on Committees Chair. Since our appointment to the Board of Education, there has been no other activity. We were due to meet on next Monday, but that has been postponed because we are, as other counselors have stated, we're dealing with budget issues. So we have postponed our upcoming meeting for next week. So other than that, there is nothing to be reported, and I thank you all.
Thank you. Land Use and Economic Development, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Land use and economic development hasn't met either due to the problem of trying to find airtime, setting budget meetings and so forth. We do have a meeting scheduled for the 27th of this month. I look forward to having that opportunity. There's also been some discussion around town that the public should be aware of, and perhaps they'll be coming out in the rest of the meeting, that November 20th is scheduled for reopening, or at least that's the goal, to reopen our businesses. And our Chamber of Commerce, along with our town staff planning, Director of Planning, have been working on that. We'll hear more about that later. Thank you.
Councilor DiLorenzo, Golf.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. The Golf Committee has not met yet. We'll be meeting at the end of May, and I'll provide a report at our next town council meeting.
Thank you, sir. So we're going to go into Council Old Business 1920-51. Consider and take action regarding update to Town Ordinance 18-6, tax abatement for volunteer firefighters and ambulance personnel. I'm going to unmute Councilor Curtin and Councilor Merritt. Councilor Curtin.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Move to approve the proposed changes to Town Ordinance Chapter 19, Section 6, Part B3, C4, and D, as authorized by Connecticut General Assembly, Bill 5125, Public Act 19-36.
Councilor Merritt.
And I'd like to second that. I go back a ways with the volunteer ambulance, back to my first term on the town council when we started the ambulance back 44 years ago. That seems like just yesterday. But it's at the time the town manager told me that it was a cliff for me, that it wouldn't last. A volunteer outfit just wouldn't be around, and it's still around 45 years later and doing very well, thank you. And we actually were a model for other towns and have been one of the most. We were out front. We were a pioneer in this business. So I think they deserve a lot of credit, and I think they deserve any benefit we can give them to encourage them and reward them. That's not their main motive, but I think they deserve this. And it's not a big deal to the town, but it's just a way of saying thank you. And with that, I'd like to second the motion.
Thank you, Councilor Merritt. Councilor Deputy Mayor Mann.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd also like to second the motion. I think it's very important to know that this volunteer organization is rather unique in our area. And it's also something that's not easy to maintain and continue. It's our public safety committee has met over the last number of years, agonizing a bit over the source of volunteers in the future. And we feel that I would certainly support this motion because it will give us an opportunity to encourage other people, perhaps to participate, to volunteer, and also make it understandable why we're going to have a continued volunteer force. And in that vein, we heard at the public safety meeting tonight that there were a number of people and organizations that have been sending gift cards and other packages to the BVA and to the fire departments. These volunteers showing their appreciation. And I just throw that out there in case somebody out in the audience would like to donate as well. So I fully encourage this second this motion. Thank you.
I'm not sure we can have a second to the second, but okay. Counselor Curtin?
Oh, Madam Mayor, my hands is up, but I don't have anything to
Okay.
say. I wait until we get to
Okay.
the discussion part.
Okay. Counselor Goff?
Well, oh, I thought we were, I guess I thought this was discussion at this point.
Well, see, because we had that 2 second, it is discussion, but we had the 2 second, we had the second that kind of threw it off, but it is discussion.
Okay. So then I will go back to Counselor Curtin and then I will make a comment afterwards.
Okie dokie.
So
Yes,
I guess that
Councilor
was a little different than normally how we do it, but anyway, I just want to echo some of the same sentiments that were said tonight. And just for one of the callers who mentioned that we should take this back to committees, I think it was looked at in finance, even the financial implication. And I think we have to look across the board of volunteers in this country in general. I mean, they step up to the plate, they run into danger when everyone runs away. And I think locally here, we can do something to show our appreciation even more to these volunteers. I believe they step up to the plate, and this is a small token, in my opinion, to show our gratitude for the work that they do on a daily basis without any question. So this is a no-brainer, and I know for a fact that the council do support this. So I just want to add that to the comments that were said before. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Goff?
Yeah, and I completely agree with my colleague, Counselor Curtin on that. I would note that this revision to the ordinance was passed. It was recommended to the council unanimously by the Finance Subcommittee 5-0, and by the Public Safety Committee 4-0. And I'm sure it would have been 5-0 if Councilor Merritt had been in attendance. So I think we're all in the same the same wavelength on this. The one other thing I wanted to mention with this, and I just want for those people who have been served with volunteer ambulance for a number of years, one of the things public safety did when the revised ordinance came back and we started looking at it, one of the things that public safety did ask the town attorney to look at was not only to add the retiree benefit, but to add a spousal benefit in the case that the retiree with 25 or more years who have been collecting, been able to take advantage of this abatement, did pass away, that a surviving spouse then would not be left with the burden of having a $1,500, well now, after we pass this ordinance, a $1,500 increase in their property taxes. Unfortunately, the town attorney came back with the information that currently that was not authorized by the state legislature. So we couldn't add that to the ordinance revision. However, I would suggest that one of the things, especially for the folks who I think are in attendance from the volunteer ambulance and the volunteer firefighting group, this may be something you want to contact your legislator about and have them potentially amend the state legislation so that we could add that, because I think speaking for myself, I certainly think that would be another good revision to make to the ordinance. So thank you very much, Ben.
Excellent. So at this point, I'm just going to ask you, I'm going to ask a question to please raise your hand. All in favor of this revision, please raise your hand. India, are you seeing the hands? I like the fact that the people that actually raise their hands. We're good. So this this motion has passed unanimously. I love it, counselors. You guys are the best. Okay, at this time, we're going to have a report from our town manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Staff's been underway with ongoing research and evaluation relative to modifications to the budget to bring additional reporting and scenarios to council for consideration. Council's meeting twice a week now, considering the budget. I've reached out to neighboring towns and the MDC on our fixed cost increases. I've also spoken with Dr. Thompson and Bill Guzman at the school district to help facilitate sharing of information to assist with the budget discussions upcoming. We've passed information and contacts along to the chamber as well, and we're trying to help with questions and preparing for necessary staffing and possible inspections or permitting that might result from businesses opening per the governor's orders. We are planning ahead to be prepared when the time is right for our offices to open as well. The departments are planning for how to do this in an orderly, safe, and effective manner. Likewise, some of our programming for leisure, human, and senior services is having to change for when we open, and they're creatively working to keep people safe while offering opportunities for activity and assistance. Spring's here, and it is changing the duties of our DPW staff. We're shifting to man those spring and summer duties and optimizing our staffing to do that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. So we had a business workshop last week in collaboration with the chamber, the council, and Yvonne Davis from Howard Cahill. We had about 15 of our small business owners on the line. We had a plethora of state officials giving information, which was helpful. We had HEDCO, we had the Small Business Association, and a few other associations. We also had Gwendolyn Thames, the Deputy Economic Development Commissioner. We had our State Representative Bobby Gibson. We had our State Senator Doug McCory, and we had counselors on that line, and the information was invaluable. Some of the business owners have emailed since the conference, and they were able to get names and contact information that they have been able to take advantage of, and that is absolutely the best thing for them. Deputy Mayor talked about May 20th and opening up. The health district is reaching out to all our salons here in Bloomfield. They're reaching out to West Hartford as well, but we're concerned about Bloomfield. So they've reached out to our salons here in Bloomfield just to make sure that everyone is aware of what that opening procedure should look like. As I'm not sure if everyone knows, but the salons are opening, but there's certain things you can do and certain things you can't do. For instance, you cannot use a blow dryer, but you must have a face covering. You must be in that salon. It's just the client and the beautician that's in the salon. We talked about salons are opening, but not nail salons. So you can't get a manicure and a pedicure, but you can get your hair washed. We talked about the restaurants opening up only for outside dining. I know that there has been questions if we can create outside dining in a parking lot. So I'm sure if Jose hasn't gotten those questions yet, they will be funneled to him, and some of those decisions will have to be made. So opening up on May 20th will definitely be a very interesting occurrence, but the health district is on top of it, providing information and directives to our businesses here in town. Once again, I would like to thank Otis Elevator. They provided some more face shields. Some of those face shields went to our senior services for our bus drivers. And these are top quality face shields. So once again, we would like to thank Otis Elevator. There was the National Day of Prayer that I took part in on last week for Bloomfield. And on tonight, we took part in the first congressional convention for Congressman John B. Larson, and he was nominated for the Democratic ticket again. I want to thank the Bloomfield Congregational Church. They continue to provide meals on Saturdays, and I tell you that that program has grown immensely. So thank you to Bloomfield Congregational Church, for the First Cathedral, Rehoboth Church of God, Wintonberry Church. They're now all partnering to make sure that there is the food bags on Friday and whatever they can do for the food program on Saturday. And I think that's it for my report. Oh, one more thing. I'm going to ask for the residents of Bloomfield, please, if you're out, please remember that you should have on a face mask. And please, please discard your gloves and your face mask in the garbage receptacles, not on the ground, not in the parking lots. Please, please, please. Also be mindful, Access Health is there for anyone right now that has a life-changing event, meaning if you've lost your job, if you were on COBRA and your COBRA has ended, please go out to the Access Health CT website. They can provide assistance for you for little of no cost for insurance. Also, we talked about the census, and other things have happened in the midst of the census, but please remember it's extremely important for you to fill that census out. Your census count equals dollars to our town for education, for roads, for public service. So please, if you have not yet filled out your census, please do so. Sharon, what was the percentage? Was it 62%?
Tell you in
Sharon? Huh?
I'll tell you in
Bloomfield is doing well, but we have to do a little bit better. Go ahead, Sharon.
I'm looking it up right now. I'll let you know in a minute.
Okay. We do have to make a concerted effort. So we are going to get flyers out. We're going to have flyers delivered just to remind our residents the importance of the census. Those flyers will have the QR code on it, that if you just put your smartphone over the QR code, it will take you directly to the website. I can promise you it takes probably 3 to 5 minutes, maybe. It's not a lot of time, but it will yield a lot of financing to our town. And if you don't do it now, it takes another 10 years. Sharon.
It's 62.3%.
62.3%. So we have a way to go to make sure that Bloomfield is 100% counted. Thank you. At this time, can I have a motion for the approval of the April 27th meeting? Deputy Mayor.
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Councilor DiLorenzo.
Second.
So I have a motion and I have a second. All in favor? Put your hands up. Hold on.
No. Hold on.
You're unmuted.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're saying no. But we don't know if you're saying no.
I'm sorry. I didn't know I was unmuted. The minutes, the section on the ordinance that we passed tonight, the section from the previous minutes need to be changed because it still has the motion to approve the ordinance, not to send it to public hearing.
So it needs to be changed to the fact that we had to have a public hearing.
Right.
Okay.
What happened last time was we started to move to actually address the ordinance, and we changed it with a friendly amendment to send that ordinance to public hearing.
Right. So can we add that as a friendly amendment?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're okay with the friendly amendment.
Thank you for catching that, Councilman.
Okay. So it's a friendly amendment. So all in favor with
Aye.
the change?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. So at this time, I'm gonna lower your hand. Kind of mute you, lower your hand. Mute you, lower your hand. We're going to start with council comments. I'm gonna go with Councilor Politis.
Hi, Councilor Politis speaking. I'm gonna start with a happy birthday to the matriarch of Bloomfield Center Fire District, Sarah Riley, today. So kind of an apropos evening for that. We did receive an email today through the town. Anybody looking for help in changing careers can contact the American Job Center. The phone number 860-406-3374. Again, 860-406-3374. In this time where a lot of people are unemployed, probably a good resource to get out there, get some additional training, do some other kind of stuff. Want to reiterate the mayor's comments on the small business forum. Thought it was very informative. Unfortunately, because of the time of day, I wasn't able to attend the whole meeting, but the little piece that I did get to sit in on was very informative. And also reiterate the backpack program and stuff going on at the Congregational Church with Rehoboth and First Cathedral. They are looking to establish a council to help grow the program and make it a better program. So anybody interested in getting out and volunteering for that, please contact them. I believe there's information on Facebook regarding that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilor Merritt.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to comment that I wish we could be hearing some kind of a report on the health district and how it's from our representative, which is our town manager is on that board, on testing and tracing in Bloomfield. I think this is all very important that we be doing this at the same time we're opening up businesses, because otherwise we're going to have some real problems. And I haven't heard anything about looking for volunteers or people to help with tracing or in town, and how well we're doing in doing that. It's all well and good. We're 60% on the census, but how are we doing on tracing? Is that 60% or better? And so I'd like to hear some reports on that. Thank you.
So Councilor Merritt, just to let you know that there is contact tracing happening at the health district every single day. We do have 2 full-time public health nurses. There's 1 part-time public health nurse that has come back to help. And the non-public school nurses from West Hartford is also on the tracing efforts. So there's contact tracing. If there is a positive here in either towns, contact tracing takes place. Find out who that person was around, how long they were around, any contact, and then they follow up. So contact tracing is happening, and it's being done by public health nurses.
Thank you.
Councilor Goff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm definitely unmuted now. A couple things. Just very quickly on, I think it's been alluded to, we have budget meeting twice this week, and then the following week, I think on Thursday. Lots of scenarios and things going on. I think the last week we had a productive meeting last Thursday, but for anyone listening, I would certainly hope that people attend those and pay attention to what's going on, because there are going to be some very difficult choices this year. And we're trying to, set the budget so that it will not increase the financial distress that many of our residents are in. I did want to mention again, one thing that I would just in terms of food for thought, and a very good article yesterday's Current, in the editorial section, there was an article titled, an op-ed piece titled "Recovery from 1918 Epidemic Could Be Warning" by a Chris Doyle, who is a PhD history teacher at Avon Old Farm School. And it was interesting because I think as this has gone on, a lot of us have been reading more about the Spanish influenza epidemic of 1918. What this article does is it sort of talks about the time and the time shortly after, especially the Roaring '20s, the Great Depression, and so forth. The sort of takeaway from this is the effects of these things are long-ranging and not necessarily immediately apparent. So it's a very good article. I will send it out. I will find it. I didn't have time today to do it online, but I will send it out to council. But for anyone out there listening to the council meeting tonight, I would highly advise reading this, because it's definitely food for thought. And I'm just want to say once again, I'm very happy that we finally, after all these years, evidently it's been a long time request of a lot of our first responders and volunteers to increase the abatement amount for first responders. And I'm glad the legislature finally gave us the ability to do that. I'm glad we finally been able to move on with it. So thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Counselor DiLorenzo.
Oh, thank you, Madam Mayor. I didn't realize it was my turn already. Okay, just a couple of quick things. I wanted to double check with Counselor Wong. I had also heard that the social services was looking for a diaper drive, and that there was a request out to collect diapers of any size, any brand, and donate them to social services. So I just wanted to confirm that that is still happening.
Yes, am I on mute? Yep, yes, you're correct. That is one of the essential items that is very hard to find.
Good. Okay, so I just wanted to mention that because I wasn't sure you mentioned it before. The other thing I wanted to say is to, again, a thank you, as many of our other counselors have already mentioned. Our first responders are certainly critical to our community, and I would like to thank them for all of the service that they provide and appreciate what they do, even though we don't always say it, but we certainly appreciate it. And I hope that this, action we took tonight will in some small way help our volunteers. So thank you to our first responders. I also wanted to piggyback on what Councilor Merritt said about the tracing and testing. I would like to know, in addition to the tracing, what else is being done for testing? Are there facilities that our citizens can go to if they want to be tested? Do they still have to have a doctor's order for that? Is there anything that's going to be done to maybe have some use of our urgent care facilities, that there could be some collaboration between them or the testing labs like Quest or others to set things up so that testing and tracing, can be done? Or where would someone in the community need to go if they don't want to go to, St. Francis Hospital or something? So that would be a question there. The other comment I wanted to make was about the concerts on the green. I did hear, again, Councillor Wong, thank you for that information about the Memorial Day parade being sort of semi-canceled, I guess. But I was interested about the concerts on the green. I'm wondering if, given that it would be outdoors and if we observed social distancing rules, I'm really hoping that the concerts on the green could stay intact, or possibly a modified schedule so that we could maybe start it a little bit later in the summer and still have something that people can come out to. So that would be one thing. Another comment I have is there's a special edition out of the Bloomfield Messenger about Philly Park, and it's really, really good and has a lot of information in there. And please feel free to pick up a copy of the Bloomfield, I believe it's,
The journal?
It's
the
the journal.
Bloomfield Journal.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry, the Bloomfield Journal. It's available in several places. I got mine at, I believe, Geisler's. So you should be able to pick one up, and be sure to check out all the great pictures in there by our local picture taker, Dennis Hubbs. A lot of good stuff going on at Philly Park. So please get out and enjoy. I believe that's it, except I'm looking forward to our continued budget discussions. A lot of activity going on there, as Councilman Goff said. And, I think there are going to have to be some tough decisions made. But again, I think all of us are in agreement that we would like to have a zero tax increase this year, notwithstanding the reevaluation process that took place, recently. That will impact some people regardless of whether we have the zero tax increase or not. So, we will see where that takes us. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Councillor Curtin.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wanted to start off by saying the workshop for the business community, I thought it was a really good meeting. I think bringing all the stakeholders together to figure out exactly what we could do to help each other. And I think the value in having Councilor Politis on this council, I think we may not see the value in it now, but I think long-term getting us through this, his perspective from a small business standpoint, I believe was so not only helpful in that call, but I think when we move forward in trying to put some sort of committee together, I know both you and I talked about it. I know other towns are doing it, putting together a task force and figuring out how we can roll out, how we can roll Bloomfield out again in this climate. And I think working with local businesses, working with the various stakeholders, I think it's important to have everyone at the table to hear their feedback. So hopefully we can get something going there. But I think it's valuable to have Councilor Politis right here on this council with his perspective. And as a small business owner, I think goes a long way. In addition to that, I want to comment on the budget. I want to echo what Councilman DiLorenzo said. I think it's the goal and objective of this council to pass a 0% budget this year. I think it's imperative. We also had discussions with the Board of Ed to have them go back to the drawing table to find ways where they can cut, not affecting classrooms. I mean, I just want to make that clear. I think it's vital going through this process, going into the fall, that our schools and our students are going to need every single help they can get to help bring them out of this pandemic with a lack of classroom exercise. I mean, parents are doing everything they can do at home, but I think it's going to be vital when those students go back in the fall to have the resources that they need. So we have to find ways to trim the town's budget, the school's budget, but not affecting one of the most valuable assets, in my opinion, to this town is our young people. They're the future. And I just want to say in the next couple of days, I think it's important for us to continue working through these budget sessions and making sure that we make it available to the public so they can engage, so they can come out. It's important, it's tough work, but that's why we're elected. We're elected to do this work. And, you know, with all being said, I think we're all on the same page. I just want to say this. I think it's important when it comes to communication out of this council. It's important for communication to come out from the mayor or the town manager's office. I think it's counterproductive when there is mixed messaging going out there and we're putting stuff out in the public where we're not even fully completed yet discussing internally as a body. So I think we have to be very important with the things we say in public and the message we put out there, because that can send the wrong message to our constituents within the town of Bloomfield. We're all here working to make sure that we support not only our residents, but our local businesses and our community to make sure we all get through this painful ordeal. So I think it's important for everyone to be team players, work together collaboratively, and do what we have to do to serve this town. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councilor Calhoun.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, I'd like to give continued thanks to those public servants in our school system that continue to serve meals to our children, making sure they get fed. Also, thank you to our teachers. Also, thank you to our healthcare providers, those that have endured through this and assisting those that can't assist themselves. Hopefully we'll see a turnaround with this sooner than later. And, you know, it's unfortunate that we've had quite a few deaths, not just in Connecticut, but throughout the country. And it's really a sad situation that families have had to deal with this, especially being separated from family members, as well as separated from what helps them to put their families forward, monetary values. And again, for those, I encourage the community, as what's been said, please come out and listen and put your comments forward for the budget. We're in it. It can't wait any longer. We are doing what we can do to modify it, but it's important that you all come out and hear from us and contribute. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councilor Wong.
Thank you. I mean, all of my peers had very good things to say, and I echo a lot of that, especially thank you to the essential workers. And as we begin to open up the world again, especially this month, I do advocate for us to open that up with a goal of a better normal. We should continue to find solutions to close the gaps in inequities such as healthcare and socioeconomic class. And that means planning through and looking through an equity lens. So I encourage us all to find ways to make sure that everyone has a seat at the table while we begin to plan for outside being available again. I too, again, support a zero increase to our taxpayers and advocate that staff look into what it looks like if we were to pass on a slight savings all as well. And I am looking forward to the first responder car parade and veterans parade in replace of the normal May 25th Memorial Day parade. So that should be really nice. Again, it starts at 10 a.m. And I will end my council comments with a quote. Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. James Baldwin. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Calhoun, is your hand up? Your hand is up, ma'am.
Yes, I forgot I had a question for Councilor Wong. She had mentioned about some of the summer newsletters being in the mail or being sent out electronically. Can you let us know how, for those that don't know, to be able to have theirs sent out electronically, how can people submit their email addresses?
They're going to have to contact social services and get on those various distribution lists. I don't know if you have a specific contact, but they can go on the town website. They can go under community service and reach out to me personally, and I'll definitely make sure that they get on the distribution list for sure.
Thank you, Councilor Wong.
Thank you.
They can also go out on the website and just go to town departments and leisure services. There's an email address there that they can also submit to. They can also just email Miss Sharon Howe at show@bloomfieldct.org, and she'll make sure. Deputy Mayor, please, sir.
Madam Mayor, first of all, I'd like to thank and echo a lot of the comments made by our fellow councilmen and councilwomen about the budget, about how we're seeing the future of this town, and the difficult issues we have to deal with, and the budget that we have to come up with that has to satisfy a lot of needs this time around. A very unprecedented budget situation. I don't think the town's ever been in before, where we have to be sure we can move forward and do this, provide the services we can provide without bankrupting our taxpayers, without mortgaging our future, and being careful that we can get there and do the job that needs to be done. Most of my fellow councilors have said we are looking for a zero increase, and I think the council has been quite united on that front. The question how we get there and how we do that is what's going to be taking place in some of these budget sessions we have for the rest of the month. There is one tomorrow night, for example. And just as a footnote, when councilors say, come on out and have your voice heard, obviously that's old talk. Come on out means you got to get online here and talk with us. We're not meeting in person. So if you don't have, well, if you're out there now, you know how to get here. So that's available to you to come to all these council budget meetings. So I just wanted to mention that. Meanwhile, life goes on. The Prosser Library is having an event this Wednesday night. It's department stores and the Black Freedom Movement, workers, consumers, and civil rights from 1930s to 1980s. Really interesting topic for discussion. It'll be, of course, available in a virtual seminar or webinar from the Prosser Public Library. It's from 6 to 7:30. So if anybody's interested, you should contact the library and find out how you can get on that call. Finally, just a couple of notes, because I think everything else has been said. Support your local businesses. Takeout foods are available now. Support the other businesses and complete your census. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Once again, I do want to apologize for just half of my face on this evening. Hopefully by tomorrow evening, it'll be better because I do see the dentist tomorrow. We've all talked about the budget and it's a hot topic. The budget is online. There is an email address that is available to you that you can send your questions in and they will be answered. We are living in unprecedented times. I hear people talk about 2020 like they're talking about the Great Depression. The numbers for unemployment is astronomical, and it's difficult to even see a way out. We're talking about reopening, but we're not going to get back to normal. I think we're creating what our new normal will look like. We do have people that have lost their jobs and had to close businesses permanently. We have more people seeking food than we've ever seen it before. So when we talk about a 0% tax increase, we're talking about the health, safety, and well-being of our residents. And we all have to share in that tight squeeze that we're going to be feeling. I do believe as counselors, we were elected to have this discussion here amongst ourselves and our residents. We were elected to help to make the hard decisions with input from our residents. So to take this conversation outside of council to influence may not be the best thing to do. We have to be careful how we handle the business of our town. I just want to put that out there because I have received some concerns. So I'm sharing the monkey, as my former boss would say, so I'm not dwelling on it all by myself. We have to be very mindful, counselors. People hold us to a higher level, a higher standard. So we just need to be mindful of that. I will close with a quote. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. Let's be mindful of that. And with that, can I have a motion? I see Councillor Curtin and Councillor Wong. Before we do go, I'd like to say thank you once again to our first responders. Thank you for keeping us safe. Thank you for leaving your families at home to face whatever it is that's out there in the community and making sure that we're safe. I'd like to say thank you to our town support staff, Sharon and India, for being here with us late night, early morning, to make sure that we as a council have the information and the support that we need. Thank you so very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? A quick shout out to Scott Charlo.
Scott.
The real MVP.
He's somewhere
Thank you
hiding in the
all.
background.
Thank you all and have a great night.
Good night.
Yeah.